Hey there, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what's really happening behind the scenes at Formula One's governing body, the FIA? Lately, it feels like the organization has been making headlines for all the wrong reasons: firings, accusations of corruption, and a whole lot of drama. And at the center of it all is FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem. This isn't just some minor issue. The FIA's turmoil is starting to affect F1 itself, putting the sport we all love under intense scrutiny. Today, I'll break it all down for you: the shocking firings, the corruption allegations, and what it could mean for the future of F1. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. By the way, if you enjoy keeping up with the biggest stories in F1, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us bring you these updates, and it'd mean a lot as we work towards our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments, what's your first thoughts when you hear about chaos at the FIA? Drop your answer below, I'll be reading them all. So, let's dive into the whirlwind of firings shaking the FIA to its core. Over the past year, the organization has lost an alarming number of top-level staff, from the compliance officer to race directors, engineers, and even the head of the Commission for Women. The list keeps growing. What's going on here? One of the most shocking exits was that of Niels Wittich, the F1 race director, who was supposedly stepping down to pursue new opportunities. Sounds professional, right? Except Wittich himself came out and revealed that he didn't step down, he was fired. And get this, he found out just days before a race weekend. Can you imagine the chaos of replacing someone in such a critical role with almost no time to prepare? The story doesn't end there. Janet Tan, an up-and-coming F2 race director, was dismissed right before her first race. No explanation, no warning. It left her successor, Rui Marquez, juggling the impossible task of managing both F1 and F2 races. Even legendary race director Charlie Whiting, who once held both roles, admitted years ago that the workload was overwhelming. If someone of Whiting's caliber couldn't handle it, how is Marquez supposed to? It's clear that something's deeply wrong within the FIA. Even Tim Meyer, a long-serving race steward, shared his frustrations after being sacked via text message. Yes, you heard that right, a text message. After dedicating 15 years of service, Meyer was dismissed because of disagreements with FIA leadership. How's that for gratitude? These firings raise serious questions about leadership under Mohammed bin Sulayem. Is it just poor management, or is there a more sinister agenda behind these decisions? Whatever the reason, it's causing instability that F1 simply can't afford. Now, I'd love to hear your take on this. Do you think these firings are justifiable, or is the FIA heading in the wrong direction? Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Let's get a conversation started. Oh, and if you're finding this breakdown insightful, make sure to hit that like button. It's a small click for you, but a huge boost for the channel. And don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us bring these deep dives into the world of F1 straight to you. Stay with me, because up next, we're uncovering the allegations of corruption that are turning this into one of the FIA's biggest scandals ever. Alright, let's take a closer look at the corruption claims shaking the FIA. Buckle up, because this is where things get really messy. Earlier this year, a UK-based investigation revealed troubling details about the FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem's management of funds in. According to reports, a $1.5 million President's Development Fund was proposed, ostensibly to support international motoring clubs. But here's the kicker: these clubs also happen to hold voting power when it's time for the FIA president's re-election. Convenient, don't you think? It gets even murkier. The fund was meant to come from the president's personal expense allowance, but questions arose about the lack of receipts to back up how these funds were being used. French law, which governs the FIA, requires transparency in such financial matters. When asked to provide receipts, Ben Sulayem reportedly stopped using his expense allowance altogether and began funding the initiative out of his own pocket. While that might sound noble, it raises an obvious question. What was the money being used for before? The fallout didn't stop there. Members of the FIAS Audit Committee, who initially raised concerns about the fund, were dismissed just days after voicing their objections. This included Behram Bondari, the chairman of the committee, who highlighted the potential conflict of interest in using FIA funds to influence voting clubs. How is it that raising valid questions about transparency leads to being ousted? And let's not forget the compliance officer, whose job it was to ensure the FIA followed its own rules. His firing only adds fuel to the fire. If the person responsible for holding the leadership accountable can be removed without due process, what does that say about the state of the organization? As fans, we love the sport for its speed, strategy, and drama on the track, not behind the scenes. Yet here we are, witnessing governance issues that could potentially undermine the credibility of F1. So, what's your take? Do you believe these allegations are a smoking gun, or is there room for doubt? Let's make this interactive. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Should the FIA president be held accountable, or is this just a smear campaign? Also, if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Your support helps us continue exploring the stories that impact the sport we all love. Let's keep the conversation going as we explore how these controversies are already affecting Formula One. Now, let's talk about how all these controversies are impacting Formula One itself. It's not just the FIA's reputation on the line. It's the integrity of the sport we all love. Formula One relies heavily on effective governance to ensure fairness and safety. But when key roles like race directors and compliance officers are in constant flux, it creates uncertainty. The firing of high-level officials like race steward Tim Meyer and others has left massive gaps in expertise. These aren't just desk jobs, they're roles that directly affect how races are managed and decisions are made on the track. Take Rui Marquez, for example. He's now responsible for overseeing both F1 and F2 races after a series of high-profile sackings. Managing even one series is a monumental task, and combining them is almost unheard of. Legendary race director Charlie Whiting stopped doing both roles over a decade ago, calling the workload unsustainable. So why is it happening again? Now, for drivers, this lack of stability in race management is a major concern. George Russell recently made a sarcastic remark asking, "Who's getting fired next?" But beneath the humor lies a serious issue. Drivers need consistency in how rules are enforced and decisions are made. Without it, the sport risks becoming chaotic and unpredictable. Beyond the paddock, fans are also feeling the impact. F1 is a global phenomenon with millions of passionate supporters. But when stories of corruption and mismanagement dominate headlines, it's hard not to feel disillusioned. The focus should be on thrilling races and epic battles for championships, not controversies behind closed doors. Here's where it gets even trickier. F1 could potentially use its influence to push for better governance within the FIA. The sport is the FIA's flagship event, generating massive revenue and global attention. If anyone has leverage, it's Formula One. But that kind of pressure would need to come from team, principals, drivers, and even fans like you. So, let's get interactive again. What do you think Formula One's role should be in addressing these issues? Should the teams and drivers take a stand, or should they focus solely on racing? Share your perspective in the comments. And remember, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and enable the notification bell. We're working hard to keep you updated on the stories that matter most in F1, and your support means the world to us. Alright, we've reached the final stretch of this discussion. The big question now is, where do we go from here? Can the FIA regain its credibility, or is the damage too deep? Let's start with the FIA itself. President Ben Sulayem's leadership has been at the center of these controversies, from mass firings to allegations of mismanagement. With elections coming up next year, there's a glimmer of hope for change, but only if the right steps are taken. For starters, the FIA needs to commit to transparency, releasing detailed financial reports and clarifying the reasoning behind recent firings could go a long way in rebuilding trust not just among its staff, but also with fans like you and me. But what happens if nothing changes? Formula One's relationship with the FIA has always been a complex one. If governance issues persist, F1 could once again consider breaking away from the FIA. This isn't a new idea. Back in 2019, there was serious talk of the sport operating independently. The financial and legal hurdles are massive, but with the sport's growing global popularity, it's not entirely off the table. Here's where we come in. Fans have a louder voice than ever before. Social media gives us the power to hold organizations accountable. If you're frustrated with what's happening, let the FIA and F1 know. Join conversations, share your thoughts, and demand better governance for the sport you love. So, let's discuss. What do you think needs to happen for the FIA to regain its footing? Should there be a leadership change, stricter oversight, or something else entirely? Drop your ideas in the comments. Your voice matters, and it's a chance to shape the future of Formula One. As we wrap up, I want to thank you for sticking through this deep dive. It's fans like you who keep the sport alive, even during its most challenging times. If you enjoyed this video and want more content that breaks down the biggest stories in F1, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We're so close to reaching our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and your support can make all the difference. The FIA's future, and that of Formula One, remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: the passion of fans like you will always be the heart of this sport. Until next time, stay safe, stay passionate, and keep the conversation going. See you soon.